Ooh, that's not supposed to look like that. But anyway, hello. And while I fiddle around with the appearance of it, which I thought I'd just fixed, oh, I see why. Welcome to the question and answer. Pleased to say that we won, which is a good thing, in my opinion. So, okay, weird things are happening. I'm sorry at how bizarre it looks. I don't seem to be able to correct it swiftly. Hopefully, though, you can actually hear me, and that's the most important thing. Oh, isn't it just, eh? Isn't it just? So, 2-0 went against Barnet. Apologies for the late start. I had a problem with light fitting, basically. So, yeah, Tom Scott already said, oh yeah, indeed. And Llama Dog Games, a big win, absolutely. It sounds dreadful, CG, is it? All right, okay. In that case, let me just what happened there? Sorry, got this fancy USB mic in its connection. I did. If you were here last week, you'll know I did have some problems with my connection last time. So everything appears to be. I'll plug it in and unplug it again, and just see what happens. Okay. Okay. Does that sound better now? I hope so. If not, let me know quickly. How's it going? Okay, yeah? Right. Let's get cracking then, shall we? Let's get cracking. Yes, good win. Good win. I've got to say, not the prettiest performance, and I wasn't delighted with the performance, quite frankly, in the second half. But all that matters in these situations is we win. That's all that matters, isn't it? You get a good draw at Sutton like that, and you need to follow it up with a win. And Barnet have been in a horrible form. I watched their last match; it was shocking. I've been diplomatic in the podcast; it was shocking. And they swapped out 4 outfield players. They showed a bit of fight. I wasn't happy with how we lost control of the second half, but digging in, getting away clean sheets, and picking up results is what matters. And the fact is, if we can follow up against Weymouth on Saturday, who look like they're improving a little bit, then we may have an opportunity here. I can see one really interesting point coming up already. As Ian Roberts says, yeah, results, yeah, that's all that matters. So I hope the sound's coming through okay now. Oh, it's not, no? Oh, darn as well. Looks like I have an extreme solution. Let's try this, and we'll Nolan Collier, there's a reference. How's that sounding now? If it's still bad, it's my Wi-Fi, and I guess I'd better give up. So just waiting for the delay. Anything? It's quieter, but you can hear me okay. Good, right, let's do this. At last, let's get cracking. Right, a good result. I'm happy with it. Let's crack on with comments straight away. Although I say Che has summed it up really what I feel. Happy with the win. Not overly thrilled at the performance, but I watch the Champions League to be entertained. I watch Wrexham to see them win. Exactly, that's how I see it as well. Wasn't thrilled at the second half personally. Barnet, I don't know if you could hear me say before, really poor in their last match. I watched it against Yeovil. They were very, very, very poor. I tried to be diplomatic in the podcast. They've made 4 changes. They were massively better today. Still, we should have done better the second half than we did. But, you know, this is how you get promoted. It's how you grind it out. Frankly, that's how you get relegated for Barnet as well, isn't it? I've seen Wrexham getting relegated. I've seen plenty of relegation teams. It's often not their performances as much as the fact they will make mistakes in both boxes. Barnet had opportunities, didn't take any of them. Gave us some opportunities, we took them. Sorry, just work back here as well. Dean Jones is an interesting one, so maybe controversial, but that's a really interesting point, apart from the goal. He's played very differently, I think, in the last 2 matches. Much more like an actual midfielder than someone trying to get up and support the strikers. I think maybe that's part of why we haven't created many chances over these 2 matches. But, on the other hand, he's shown something I've not expected. I think he's scrapped really well. He's played like a centre mid. Now, the thing is, actually, I think that today, more than last Saturday, he got into more good positions to actually punish teams. The thing he's specialises in, and until the goal, I think maybe he didn't quite take that opportunity. I think he'd have been a little frustrated with himself. Just before the goal, he got a really nice position on the right side of the box, drilled across, which was blocked. That's fair enough. We came back out to French. He played a really clever little pass inside to give Durrell another go. Record was unmarked at the far post, and Durrell didn't find him. He played in a sort of ball. I'm not sure if it's a cross or a shot, and you could see he was angry with himself afterwards. And then within a minute or 2 minutes, he scored a cracking goal. So yeah, he's sort of the opposite of what I expect from him in these 2 games, and I've liked his feistiness. But I thought in the second half, I sort of wanted to see Jay Harris in there, stiffen up the middle of the pitch, because I was concerned about how that was progressing. So it's an interesting call with Durrell, but he's contributing to decent, scrappy away wins, which is good, isn't it? Wrexham is the name. Young, the beautiful man. Oh, he is a wonderful man, isn't he? What a strike. I mean, what a strike it was. But you expect it. You just expect it. So, oh yeah, and JGP Lang, yeah, you're right. In the council, that's probably why it all happened. I'll check for Dustworth. Right. So, Alfie Parry, is anyone else annoyed by how we can't pass a ball on the floor? I was a little, yeah, I mean, it was very similar to last Saturday, but last Saturday is fine because we're playing a really good team, and I think that's fair enough. Today, yeah, I didn't think we moved the ball around like we should. I thought there was quite a lot of sloppy passing playing forwards. I wondered whether the midfield was a bit deep, and as a result, there were a lack of options going forwards. I remember there was one point in the second half, Record got it. I think, to be honest, he should have recirculated it through midfield, but he decided to go forwards instead, and immediately it was obvious that only the 2 strikers were ahead of him. So, I don't know. I agree. I think the passing's not quite right at the moment, but there have been games. I don't know if I'm dead thick saying this, but for me, right, how do you get promoted? It's all about the points total at the end of the season. And every single season we'll have good spells and bad
spells. Spells where they stop creating for a bit. Spells where they then can create. Spells where their passing goes off a bit. Spells where that comes back. And there have been games lately where we have moved the ball around very well. These last two games, I would say we haven't so much. I think it was really extenuating circumstances last Saturday. Tonight, not so much, but then we got the win. But yeah, I do agree at the moment that's not it. But then if you look at Man City, you know, it's like I said about Barnet, really. No team gets relegated by playing horribly all season. There'll be peaks and good performances and good spells within matches. The league by dominating, even Man City, who are, you know, obviously going to win the league, will still look back on this season and see points where they've had quite shocking defeats and really surprising lacks of performance. So I hope that what happened there was a little bit of a rough spell. Although I will say, through an Aldershot as well, in an Aldershot game, I think the bad pitch didn't hurt us, I think. The Barnet pitch looked nice to me. My first impression quite early on was we were going to shift the ball around a bit on this, but we didn't really. So it's something I have to address. But then having a home game will help. We tend to look a bit better with that. So hopefully we're okay. Right, now then. Alan Williams saying, midfield's not quite clicking just yet for me, Mark. I agree. Hard working, yes. Honest, yes. Still think it may need a tweak. Yeah, like I said, I thought we should have got Jay Harris on earlier, personally. Because he is good on the ball. He is somebody who'll start moving the ball around with short passes, and that just gets your rhythm going, doesn't it? And gets you moving the ball through midfield. He'll also get a foot in, and that was what I was also thinking. Relieve the pressure by having a tough guy in the middle who's going to make a few more tackles. I thought our midfield failed to get a grip on the game and allowed Barnet to come out of the second half and put too much pressure on defence. If I was one of the back three, the back five, I would be saying to the midfield, you know, you should be a bit further ahead of me, and you should be stopping a lot of this pressure coming on. I would argue. Yeah. So yes, I agree, Alan. We're going to say Harris hopefully could be this week. Did you see the name? Thoughts on Luke Young's goal? Very sexy indeed. That's my thoughts. What a wonderful hit! I mean, the commentators, I thought the good commentators, and they, you know, when you look at it, I think they pointed it out. It's a crowded penalty area, and Thomas has no chance of getting the shot through. So he lays it back, and the camera, don't you remember, on that ball just went a bit tight. You couldn't see who he was laying it back to. And I was thinking, okay, it's going to be difficult to score from there. Obviously, Thomas is really teeing it up for a shot. But Luke Young is such a clean striker of the ball. He's got a yard to aim at, hasn't he, at the top? No, he hasn't got a foot to aim at the top. He's got just more than the width of a ball, and he just spangs post to letter, pops it in the letterbox. Luke Young is the postman, and he always delivers. Oh my God, I feel the t-shirt's coming on. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm going to copyright that. So, yeah, I'm delighted with the finish. Hello, Gemma. Hello, Gemma. And technical idea, JGP Lang. But I think, if I remember correctly, the problem last time I just went straight webcam. My Wi-Fi has gone ropey the last few days. I need to look into this. I think that's what it might be. I'll have a look into it though. Using OBS, which is what I'm using, it has caused issues in the past, but not for about a year actually. So we'll see. Right, Chase. He was disappointed that Barnet forced a few good saves at a double, but again, all I care about is results. Too many fans obsessed over people free-flowing football. I agree. The result's great. I think I'm not saying, I'm not going to try and pretend that we were great in the second half. I don't think we were. I would say though, and I mean, we'll never know this, a lot of their attacks that carried on looked offside. Now that could be that someone in our defence is getting the line wrong, and that could definitely happen. You remember the Hartlepool home game when Armstrong, their prolific striker, suddenly is one-on-one with Dibble, who does really well. And at the time, everybody was thinking he's miles off. But when you look again, Jamie Records was too deep. he hadn't got out quickly, and he played him on. So you can have a ragged line, but if we didn't, it looked like they were offside, and some of their chances the one that Dibble saved of his chest when the striker ran down the right channel and was one-on-one with a tight angle. Looking at the replay again, he looks well off. So, some of those dangerous moments might not have happened if the correct decision was made. Likewise, that shot that got deflection and just cleared the bar from Wordsworth. That was a blatant handball to make the ball drop to him. I couldn't believe that wasn't given, especially because at the start of the match, the referee seemed to think he was operating a VAR system. The ball hit Thomas on the chest, it seemed to me, maybe the chest and arm, and the referee seemed to think, oh, well, it's an attack, so goal can't count from this, and just blew his whistle, because that one was blatant. So I do think that, and I don't want to labour this, because like I said, Barnet were better than us, I thought, in the second half, in terms of their amount of possession, and the amount of pressure they put on. But I think maybe a couple of their best efforts, I think those two maybe were their best efforts, apart from the post, probably shouldn't have happened if he kicks to us. I do think as well, I remember Dennis Smith getting very stroppy once. It was a strange one after a press conference where we'd won, and I think it was Christian Rogers had played really, really well, and somebody said to him, "Oh, Christian Rogers did well," and he said, "Yes, what I pay him for." You pay your goalkeepers so that when the other side get their chances, you keep them out. And I suppose you could say that most teams will make some chances. Dibble did well. That save though to his left, that was a really good save, wasn't it? Fair play to him. Alfie Parry. Also, Davis looks very poor in my opinion. He just looks average. I think he needs a rest and a wake-up call, because he's not irreplaceable. Jarvis needs to play some more. I wouldn't go as harsh as you, Alfie, at all. But I've been thinking quite a lot about Jordan the last few days. That sounded more romantic than I meant it to. I was looking at him at Sutton and thinking for a while the narrative sort of is having him in midfield, he's more an attacking player, a bit light in there. I hope I'm back and okay now. My internet just dropped out. There's something wrong with my internet. I do apologise. I hope you can hear me now. Sorry, we were talking about Jordan Davis. I thought he did very well at Sutton, digging in and scrapping and doing all that ugly work that you sort of think, no, he's more of a flair player, a touch player. And I thought today he didn't get as involved as he would have liked to. And your point, Alfie, wasn't it, I think, about giving him a rest may well be a very good idea. Oh, I haven't said that. It's only one performance for me. But yeah, I felt he wasn't having quite the influence he normally does. We have good options in midfield, don't we? Jay Harris, Dan Jarvis. So we have some good options to use. I know you're saying that you'd like Jarvis to play some more. And if I look at him in isolation without looking at who I'd leave out, yeah, I'd like him to be playing more. It's just, like I said, who do we leave out? John Davis saying Dibble or Lane's in the next game if he's fit. Dibble's been really solid and his distribution is better every game. It's a great question. I think if this had happened about 5 games earlier, it's still Leighton has to come straight back in. But I'm not so sure now. Look at our results. We've lost 1 in, is it 10 or 11 now? That's great. It's Dibble in goal for that run. I think we've got to the point now where probably Dibble's going to be our keeper for a bit. I suspect. I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. It's a hard-nosed decision to throw Leighton back in. But I kind of think that at the moment, Dibble's done well. Now, when he had his last long run, he did then make a couple of mistakes which were costly. And I wonder be a case of, okay, you've taken this opportunity, you don't deserve to get dropped, we're leaving you in here, and we'll see how it goes. I suspect, that hopefully he can hold off that loss of form. David's something that's been on my mind lately as well. Yeah, we like to lose 3 points, which affects our total with the likes of Notts County because of tin pot Dover. Well put. Yes, only Notts County, I think I'm right in saying, that the teams up at the top end have actually dropped points against Dover. So ironically, of course, dropping points against Dover becomes a blessing in disguise, doesn't it? Because they get expelled from the league, their results will be expunged, and that's a real shame. Having said that, I'm not overly worried about Notts County because I think they've only got one free midweek left all season, I think I'm right in saying. And they're still in the FA Trophy, so if they get to the final, they'll have no free midweeks all season. They're going to have a real issue. They're going to have to start playing 3 days a week. That's just mad. Now, Joseph Liardet. Why do you think Reece Hall-Johnson is in and out of the team so much? I feel we offer much more going forwards when he plays. Now, as Alfie is saying, he's injured. David's saying carrying a knock. Yeah, I think that carrying a knock thing is key. I thought he would have been ideal in this game. The fact he was on the bench. All right, I'm saying about Harris coming on to stiffen the midfield. I also have a feeling you'll get Reece Hall-Johnson on to bring us some pace on the transition and hit them on the break in the second half to relieve pressure. I would have been tempted to do that, but I think he's been carrying a bit of a knock for a while, hasn't he? And I think maybe 2 games in a week might be pushing it a bit too much. Luckily, we've got good options there, haven't we? Because French is a good player driving forwards down the right. Different style, of course, but he can drive forwards and he's pretty quick, and he's got good quality of passing. And Horsfield also can play that role, can't he? If we had an away game, especially a tough away game, I would argue. Carrington got, I suppose, as well, didn't he? But yeah, I think that's the main thing, isn't it? Right, then I've got to the bit where we collapsed, and then Alfie, radical. I think we sell Leighton and get a new backup on loan. Send David back out on loan next year. Then we have Dibble and David. It's an idea. Leighton's a very good keeper. I think we've got to see what happens when they're both fit for a few games. There's got to be a decision to be made, hasn't there? Because Leighton's not going to be happy to be playing backup because he's a quality keeper. Dibble has come as backup, has been a happy backup for a long time. But it's legitimate. Yeah, but now I'm getting a run and I'm doing well. I've got to be seen as first choice. So there's a problem to be resolved there. It's a nice problem, maybe. It's tricky with goalkeepers, isn't it? It'd be interesting to see what will happen. Keith has to make the hard-nosed decision one way or the other, doesn't he? So I'm very happy. We won. Hey, still fifth. Till Dover get properly kicked out. Right, and then Alfie, I'm also confused why we play a natural centre-back at right wing-back and a right-back at centre-back. Well, that's a fair point. I think French, though, I'm thinking right in saying French has played quite a lot at Bradford at right-back and as a wing-back. So, I guess different types of wing-back would be my gut feeling. I've tried so hard to not make an old-fashioned reference. I remember when I was a kid, the European Championships were on. Oh man, I'm going to confirm how ancient I am now. Germany in 1980 had a right back called Hans-Peter Briegel, and everybody was terrified of him because he was like 6'3". He was built like a sort of Greek god, and he was just so strong and so fast, and he just bombed up and down with power. And French is not quite the Greek god, yeah, but he's a French god, and he's got the similar attributes in the sense of he like bursts forwards with power, doesn't he? Which game was it? Wealdstone? No, it wasn't. There was a home game he played as wing back, and we improved a lot in the second half because he started driving forwards more. And it was Wealdstone. He got 3 assists in that game, or 2 assists, didn't he? So I can see him being a right wing back. I think Reece Hall-Johnson's a more natural wing back, but if he's not fully fit, okay, what do we do? Now, Cara is a centre back. I totally see your logic on that. I would argue, I love Cara, and I would argue he's not as quick as French. He, as a wing back, he would be coming forwards and linking play play and passing nicely, but he wouldn't be going around the outside and beating people, whereas French can do that. And that nice little pass that I said before, he found Durrell, he's still able to get his foot head up and deliver. And also, if he can get into high positions, I mean, look how Record gets into the 6-yard box when the ball's on the other side. Well, you would want French from that position to be getting into those sorts of positions, and French arriving at the back post 6 yards out to meet across does sound like it could have a few goals in it. So, different type of wing back. I think French is legitimate. Carrington, I don't think would really bring you those qualities. What he brings you is solidity and the ability to pass the ball and interact with players. But I don't think he'd be really a driving force down the right. And Carrington, in terms of not being a centre back, I don't know what he is anymore. He can kind of do anything, can't he? So, fair play. At the moment, he has played very well at centre back, hasn't he? So, I think that's the point, isn't it? He's in very good form at the moment. The back three are looking decent and settled, and there's no huge reason to remove him from the back three. So he stays in there, and then French is versatile, gives you more going forwards, probably in terms of driving forwards. So, yeah, I think that's your answer, I think. David says Leighton's on number one of the best in the division, or the best. That's right, that's the thing, rewarding a professional because he's in the team and taking the reward because he clearly is class. Tough one. And Alfie's saying Dibble's been a better of the two this year. He's certainly done a solid job, hasn't he? It's fascinating, isn't it? Hang on, I'll go back to David because he replied, that's not true, Leighton just hasn't played enough. He rarely makes errors where Dibble has dropped a few clangers. Leighton's a far better keeper. I think they're both good, they're different, and they're both good. And I think it's an interesting call. Remember, there's squad management going on here as well. Keats has got to keep players happy. And there'll come a point where a loyal deputy like Dibble could say, to be fair, boss, I've had a few long runs in the team now, and I'm not letting us down. If you want to pick Leighton, fair enough, but I need to go somewhere else. So that's also something to consider, isn't it? Alan EW, what's our chance of hitting the two first tier playoff? So you mean like second and third place, don't you? I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility, frankly. I think this league is so unpredictable at the moment. Any sort of thing can happen. I find it pleasing that we look stable. Having lost what, like I say, I've got any sense, I'd look at the stats, is that 1 in 10 we've lost. I mean, if we can keep just building on that, it will be unusual to be a team with stability in our division. And that could take us up. We've still got home games to come against some good opposition. Although I admit that with the exception of Sutton, we haven't really put the good teams to bed at home. But, we'll see. So I think we've got a chance. The way I look at it, I'd be very disappointed if we didn't end up in the playoffs. I'd be really disappointed with that. We've opened up the gap. Is it 5 points now ahead of the team? Is it pleasing? I don't play more games. Don't care. I'd rather have the game, the points in the bank. Some of the teams above us are sort of wobbly or inconsistent. So I'd be disappointed if we weren't in the playoffs at all. My gut feeling is I sort of think we'll finish around where we are now. But we are perfectly capable, I think, of getting into that top tier of the playoffs. And I still, or maybe I'm just a dreamer, there's quite a lot of footy left, even though it's March. I still think we've got a bit of a chance of being top. But I might be an idiot. Always bear that in mind. Right, Lewis Wynn Davis, do you offer Keats a new contract if we finish in the playoffs? I'm on the record here. I respect Keats. I think that, funnily enough, the Torquay fans looking out from the outside summed it up pretty well. He came in, well, they were saying when we were in the lowest point in our history, I suppose, in a sense, we were, weren't we? We could easily have got relegated last season. And I do not want to join a Brian Hughes witch hunt, because I think he's a good bloke, and I think people haven't given him full credit for what he did in the first season he came in, because he came into a difficult situation. But the fact is that if we carried on with the points per game that we were winning last season under Brian, we would have actually finished below Chorley. That's not good. Keats came in, inherited a squad which had a lot of players that were not up to scratch. He also inherited a different situation transfer rules compared to when he first came in, and he was extremely effective in getting players in and out. It was harder to shift players out, stuck with some players more than he would want to be. He kept our heads above water, and then this season he's pushed on, and we're in the playoffs pretty solidly. So I'm very happy with that. I think that's sound. So I would anyway say Keats gets a contract. I agree with Alfie. I think Torquay could well drop out the playoffs. I hope we get right that we get third. I'd be satisfied with that. And Barry Lloyd said he thinks we're lucky to have two good keepers, one of our stronger positions. Absolutely. And Steve Cornwell, Leighton every time for me. Dibble's a good reserve. Absolutely. Good two good keepers. Right, I'm starting to get weird warning messages on here, and if we've managed to make it this far, I think we should celebrate that fact. I'd better go record the podcast as well. So I'll do that tonight and post it up. But thanks for joining me.